My opinion was that this market was no good today. I thought it was pretty ugly. Curious how you fared today. Leave a comment below if you don't mind on how you did today, if you had a good day or a bad day, or if you liked this kind of market or didn't like this kind of market. Me personally, I didn't. Hey, fellow traders, it's Black Coffee Trader coming at you here on a Thursday, April the 17th. And yeah, pretty flat market today, really very choppy, and no real continuation, no big moves, nothing like we've seen in the last couple of weeks. And honestly, I'm happy that I'm walking away with a very small red day, down $200, and really just these bottom two accounts, the newest accounts. Today was day 3 of trading those, and it was the first losing day I've had. In fact, it was the first losing trades I've had on these accounts. But you'll have that. They're still above 50 grand, so that's a good thing. Happy that they're still in profit. Had a nice day on the other accounts, nothing big. I mean, I really didn't catch any big moves today, and there wasn't anything there to get, really. Well, there was one that I kind of chickened out on maybe a little bit, but let's just dive into TradeZilla. We'll walk through the trades. I'll show you how I'm journaling and kind of go from there. So today, down $200, 50% win rate. Average win to loss was down, definitely because I didn't have any big wins. I had a lot of just little small wins. But the week in general up a couple $100. Obviously tomorrow is an off day since it's Good Friday. So we had a couple green weeks back to back. Definitely nothing big by any stretch of the imagination, but green is green. And again, just trying to put together some better trades. And again, I made some adjustments to my trading this week, and I really like it. I'm a lot more comfortable, and I'm able to accept the losses a whole lot more easily since I'm running with $150 of risk per trade. And so if I need a bigger stop loss, I'm simply sizing down, and I have my ATM set accordingly. More on that in a little bit. Let's just expand this, and then we'll dive into the trades for today. I might not go through all of them. There was 8 trades taken today, and let's just run through them. It won't take that long. So I do want to point out a few things. This was a very early morning trade, a break and retest of 5337 and VWAP on ES. There's a lot of chop in the market. NQ was trying to hold 18,500 while I was shorting this, had to take profits and run, even though it was a win. It wasn't the best setup due to market conditions, and I did end up moving this a little bit later in the morning. This was an early trade. I think it was around 640 when I entered this trade. You can't see that because there you go, 640 in the morning when I entered the trade. But the setup was there. We had fallen below VWAP, pulled back, nice little level right there, and shorted. And really the short should have been a little bit more early, but I was just trying to get better confirmation of the breakdown, and I did end up taking some profits still. Let's just jump into that trade itself, and that was here. So it took my entry right here, and I did, I had to sit through this, pulled all the way back, kind of chopped around, and I finally just, took profits, and we ended up, it was just not a good setup because at that same exact time, like I had said, NQ right here was trying to hold. That was right here. NQ was trying to hold above this 18.5 level, which was an interesting level today. Let's go back to that. So that was that trade. Even though it was a win, it wasn't the best. It was not a great execution by me on that trade, taking that setup. This one was one of the bad ones of the day. I took a couple bad trades. This was one of them. So piggybacking right off of that last one, I took a break and retest long, what I thought was, or a break and retest short, I should say, of 18.5. The earlier trade on ES was right here. We broke down, and I took this. I wanted it to break down further, and just very stupid. Not that this is such a bad looking setup, but taking this trade right after I just had a difficult trade on ES in a choppy market, or in choppy market conditions, was not smart. And what happened here is I just, boom, we had a shoot up move, and I got taken out. So just not the greatest of setups. Right here you can see it. I just took that short, boom, got liquidated. Not liquidated, but it got stopped out on the trade. So that was that. And let's go to trade number 3, which is this one. This one was a pretty nice trade here. This was a pre-market hold This is a gold trade, pre-market hold of 33.33, key level, nice trade. Took 2 off quickly and moved the last contract to a 2R or 8 points because of VWAP and the top of the recent high range. Ended up, again, I took the long right here. This was literally just a couple minutes after the open. In fact, yeah, right after 9:30, about 9:32. We had this wick down, took this entry, took the first 2 off on the way up, and then I moved this last one down to somewhere here and got out with a pretty nice trade there. And the interesting thing was on gold, you can see this is that trade. So this is that level. You can see how I had this level marked out, how this was a major hold, especially in the early morning pre-market. And really, if you go to the 15-minute chart on gold, that's this level right here. See how we had this previous highs, turned into support, and then we fell through, or I was looking for that to hold for a continuation move up. And the thing that had me a little bit concerned was this little level right here, and that's why I moved my my profit target down here and just got out of there with an 8 point on the last contract, risking 4, taking 8 on the last contract. So happy with that trade. Anyway. Now let's go back to TradeZella. Trade number 4 was 1, 2, 3, 4. That was this one right here, which was an ES trade. This is one that I could have definitely held on to longer. Rejection of ES 53.40 and VWAP. Tight trade, had to sit through some chop. I wanted a bigger move, but decided to take profit due to the choppy open. We did end up getting a nice flush down to the 52.90s. I probably should have held. I mean, I should have held. But this was, you can see as the market opened up here, this is 8 a.m. So we had these rejections around this 53.40, 53.45 area. And when we pushed back up here, I took this short. We rejected here. We had a couple wick rejections, and I took that short and had to sit through some chop. Let's go to ES, and then we can look at that trade. So ES, that is this trade right here. Matter of fact, I'm just going to bring it up so you can see it a little bit better. That was on this account. So I took that short here and had to sit through this chop. And I was unsure, but I felt, man, as long as we hold here, I'm going to hold on to this trade. And this is one of the things that I've really, really liked about changing my strategy, my ATM strategy, to where I'm risking $150 per trade. And here I was in with 2 contracts, and that allowed my stop to be all the way up here, still only risking the 150. It makes it a whole lot easier for me to trade. And I really think I did myself a lot of damage over the last several months of having stops that were just too tight. Like I would typically trade with about a 7.5, 10-point stop on ES and maybe a 25-point stop on NQ. And in today's market, it's just simply not enough. And so I'm just looking for, where does my stop need to be? How big of the spread do I want? And that signifies which trade I select on my ATM strategy. If I'm taking 1 contract, 2 contracts, 3, 4, whatever. So I really like that. But anyway, going back to this trade, I took the first one off here, not quite at 1R. In fact, this was a 2 contract. That would be this one here. So this is what it would look like. So the first contract was right here. The first target was right around there. And then the second one would have been all the way down here. Well, I took the first one and we had this wick back up. We just started wicking a little bit, and I just took the second one off and said, I'm out with 80, 90 bucks, basically $100. And really what I should have done is waited, because we came up, tested my entry again, tested VWAP, and then we flushed all the way down here. So I could have had a really, really good trade if I'd have held longer. But again, we had a lot of chop, and I was just not going to sit through that today. This market was definitely not my type of market today, for sure. Okay, moving on. Let's get to trade number 5, I think is the next one. Nope. Here we go. I'm trying to remember this one. This was an ES trade. Oh yeah, this was a really nice setup that just didn't follow through. Break and retest of 53.10. So this was that previous short up here. Where I took profit. We fell all the way down, pushed back out of here, And nice setup that just didn't follow through. Took one off at 1R, and I should have taken two off. That way I could have had a break-even trade at worst. But I'm not that disappointed. This was a good setup. Again, you can see it. Very clean, very clean. I like clean setups like this where we have areas of where we're holding above a certain area, and as we fall through, we come back up and we test it cleanly. Like we're not wicking all the way through here or having a move all the way through here and then retesting it. We're testing it very cleanly. I really like that about this setup. Took it, and again, got out of there with, that is this one right here. Let's just set this to, I think it's, yeah, these contracts. So here's the setup. I took it after this wick. So we had kind of a rejection play here. This candle here, when with this push down, I thought, man, this is really going to go. We're going to just flush back to the downside after this big move down. And I took the first contract off here at 1R. And again, I should have taken two. I watched this sit for a little while, and then we just had this move up. And I think this, someone had mentioned that Trump was speaking right at this point in time. So we got liquidated or got taken out of my last three contracts. You know, this was I was in with four on this trade. So again, this is one of those where I'm not sad about it. It was a good setup. There was just no follow through. The only, thing to be critical of myself on is maybe if I would have taken two off here, I could have walked away break even instead of having like whatever it was, a $75 or $80 loss on that trade. So, and moving on to this one here was a gold trade. Oh, I forgot we'll just skip the one. So this is the second entry. This is a re-entry. I took this trade twice. There's a little bit to talk about here. Took a re-entry of break and retest of 33.33. This was the level that we longed off of in the morning on gold, and in the afternoon we retested it. Once again, my size was wrong. Needed a wider stop. So I had taken a trade right here. Right here I took a short and got stopped out. And then I re-entered right here on this break back down. So once again, size was wrong, needed a wider stop. I took profit on two contracts, stopped out break even on the last one. I changed my ATM on gold after this trade so that I'm risking 150 on the gold like the other ATMs. The short of 33.33 proved to be correct later in the day. Correcting my size was the lesson on the last two trades. So let's go to gold and we can talk about this. So that is right here. And so this morning, here was the long in the morning. We had this mega sell-off, and we pushed back out of here. And I actually think I should have had a zone here instead of just one level. And here's why. Let's go to, I just moved that. I think in hindsight, after that first trade, I was looking at this in more detail, and I really think these lows, you could make the argument that this maybe should have been right here, but I really feel like right here is where that should have been, kind of this high, and then these little pre-market highs here, which were pretty solid, and I feel like that really should have been the zone. So now let's go back to my analysis, and like I had talked about earlier, this original entry was probably a little bit early. Had I had my zones maybe a little bit better, I probably would have waited on that entry and maybe taken the second one. But then the other thing too is I needed a wider stop loss. Now, what I changed is my ATM on gold, all I was doing was copying my ES ATMs. And when I do that, instead of risking 150, I was only risking 120. So I adjusted that now so that now I'm risking 150. So if I take this with three short, it would look like, well, for some reason it's not displaying it. Oh, here we go. So if I'm taking that trade with three short, I still get stopped out. See, but I would just get wick stopped out. It's just a better, it's a better setup. So I made some adjustments to my ATMs on gold, and I'm pretty happy with that. But again, this second entry, I did get, took two off here and it got stopped out break even. We retested it again for the second time, and then we slowly kind of bled down to the overnight lows right in here. And is that the overnight lows? Oh yeah, it is. It is the complete overnight lows. So, had I held on to that trade, had a wider stop, we could have got out of there with a solid one, maybe a little bit more than a 1 hour trade. I wouldn't have got a 2 or 2.5 hour, but that's okay. Interesting how gold has retested that area. We'll see if it continues. This is a third test now here right at the end of the day. But anyway, so lesson learned there. I'm not disappointed with that. I mean, yes, I didn't, I lost some money. I lost 120 on this trade and then made back like 75 on this one. But again, just some improper sizing and making some adjustments there was the win. The last trade of the day is the one that I walked away from after this trade, and I in a sense, I'm a little bit upset with myself to even discuss this one. This is a very, very, very stupid trade. Very stupid trade by Black Coffee Trader. $170 loss. So this was not a good setup. I waited all day for a break and retest to go long off of 18.5. 18,500 was an area that I was looking at early in the day, and I thought, man, if we can reclaim 18.5 on the NASDAQ, I want to go long. And I kept watching the price action and talked myself into reasons to take this trade, namely the wicks around the 490s right here, these wicks. I was watching this. It was not a clean break and retest at all. But because I sat here and was studying this for about 10-15 minutes here, I convinced myself that I should take this trade. And it was just stupid. Bad decision. Got taken out by a 60-point rip in 30 seconds. We immediately it stuttered here and then boom, ripped down 60 points and stopped me out. So I was able to laugh at myself after the fact on my stupidity of talking myself into the trade. I need to remember this. That's what I put in my note there. So yeah, that was just a very, very poorly executed trade, and so be it. And I can show you that one right here. That is this last trade, which was right here. There's that 60-point ripper that was on the newer accounts. Boom, got liquidated, or taken out, I should say. I don't know why I say liquidated. And we continued to bleed off. So, but that gave me a $300 loss on those accounts. And at that point, I decided to walk away. So anyway, that is today. And we're going to go into the weekend with a little bit of red, and it is what it is. Looking at bigger picture, I don't know. We'll just have to do an assessment on Monday. I mean, we have definitely been stair-stepping our way kind of down these last couple of days, so it is anybody's guess on where this thing's going. We do have some free area down below here on the NASDAQ, but I feel like we need to reclaim. I mean, really, I would love to see a reclaim all the way up here into the 18,900s to really see this thing go long. But anyway, 18.5 is right here. That's that area I was looking at here with these lows from, the 16th. There were some lows in here that held very strongly. We also had some intraday lows right here in that same area on the 17th, which was today, earlier in the overnight session. And so we just simply couldn't push out of that. So anyway, we'll see where this thing goes, and we'll take a look at it next week. So yeah, I think we'll leave it at that. And just again, thank you. Thanks for following along. Appreciate you guys. And hope you had a good day. And again, if you don't mind, let me know in the comments how you did today and how you liked today's choppy and what 250 point range on NQ. So anyway, all right, I'll leave you with that. Take care. Have a great extra day off and a long weekend. And until next time, take care and so long.